Thank you for all joining us today. I'm Michelle Steele, Chairman of the Orange County Board of Supervisors. Today, the Orange County Healthcare Agency reported 145 new cases of COVID-19 and one new death. Our total now stands at 2,393 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 45 deaths to date, while our total number of tests stand at 31,534. As of today, we have 190 hospitalizations and 63 in ICU. I am sure many of you are wondering about the recent actions taken by Sacramento in regard to Orange County beaches. Governor Newsom's memo directing closure of only Orange County beaches out of all the beaches in the state is clear example of unnecessary government overreach. His actions are arbitrary and capricious and is an act of retribution against Orange County. Police departments in our beach cities did a fantastic job ensuring that proper social distancing was being followed. More importantly, these officers had to do very little policing, as the vast majority of our residents were already in compliance with our local health orders. We should be rewarding our communities for practicing safe social distancing, not punishing them by closing down only Orange County beaches, and this is not acceptable. There is no rational basis for this action. The major point of contention that has led to this situation are a few misleading pictures that have been released. These pictures were taken at a particular angle, which made it look as if beachgoers were crowding, when both Huntington Beach and Newport Beach police departments provided aerial photos of the beaches at peak hours over the previous weekend, showing that we could see social distancing between people enjoying the beach. You can see in these photos are clear contrast. Orange County has been successful in flattening the curve. We are regularly increasing the number of available tests, and hospitalizations remain stable. Our highest priority is public health and public safety, and I've maintained that a large part of that includes our mental and physical well-being, which includes getting fresh air and exercise. I trust our Orange County residents to make good choices, wearing face masks, staying 6 feet apart, and staying home when they don't feel well. We have here an opportunity to embrace personal responsibility while also taking care of our neighbors. Governor Newsom clearly doesn't share that faith, and I will be looking into the right response to the governor's overreaction and abuse of power. Please remember, while this virus is a formidable threat on our health and safety, it by no means negates or invalidates our amazing United States Constitution. We can promote safe distancing protocols at the same time, not trampling on our constitutionally protected rights. I encourage Governor Newsom to work with Orange County to make this happen. I understand many Orange County residents are wondering when we can have more our businesses reopened. As such, I would like to address an important vote that was made by Board of Supervisors at Tuesday's meeting. In a 5-0 vote, the Orange County Board of Supervisors approved guidelines developed for Orange County businesses to implement when they decide to open. These guidelines do not in any way conflict or supersede any federal, state, or local orders, and were put together over many long meetings to ensure that all industry representatives, medical professionals, and our legal team had to input in order to best reflect business needs while stimulously keeping in line with public health recommendations. Orange County set these guidelines for businesses to open. If businesses decide to open, they can do so as long as they follow these guidelines and comply with state orders. Our goal as a county is to ensure that our businesses have the proper information and guidelines to ensure the health and economic prosperity and all of our residents. I and the entire Board of Supervisors are working hard for all of our residents to get back to work and create an even stronger, more prosperous Orange County. Today's press conference will feature Supervisor Don Wagner, Dr. Nicole Quick, and Sheriff Don Barnes, who will be answering questions to the county's COVID-19 response. CEO Frank Kim will provide an update regarding the governor's 4 stages of reopening as a matter of background, and will also be on hand to answer any questions that you all might have. Again, I appreciate all you joining us today, and I'm welcoming Supervisor Wagner here.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This is 3rd District Supervisor Don Wagner, and I do want to take a moment to address in particular the beach closure issue. It is clear to us that the governor, because he has said so in his press conference, is basing the decision to single out Orange County on a couple of press photos. And the chairwoman went through those photos. I am accusing no one of manipulating the media or coming up with so-called fake news. It is clear, however, that the telephoto lens distorted what was going on the beach. We know that because we've seen photos from other angles that were displayed by the chairwoman. We also know that because of 2 very important things that happened. On Tuesday, after those photographs were run in the local press, the Newport Beach City Council and the Laguna Beach City Council each separately voted to reopen their beaches. And they are the locals who are there on the ground. They are the ones who saw what was really happening, not just through the telephoto lens of the press, but through being on the ground in those cities, responsible for making their decisions. It is not wise to make public policy from Sacramento based on a couple of photographs out of a local paper. I would urge the governor to trust the locals. Unfortunately, a news reporter stuck a phone in my face yesterday in the middle of the governor's press conference and said, "What do you have to say to the governor?" All I did was explain the Orange County guidelines. The truth of the matter is that Orange County is not trying to stick a finger in the governor's eye. We have been overwhelmingly responsive to the medical science and to the locals. We urge the governor to continue listening to the health professionals and to actually engage with us here on the ground as to what is best for our constituents. The truth is, we've seen overwhelming compliance from citizens throughout Orange County for the stay-at-home orders, the masks in public orders, the physical distancing. I worry that by making policy for one county based on a couple of photographs and not listening to the science, the governor will undermine all of the good work that has otherwise been done in this county and throughout the state. The analogy I use is this: a clock that strikes 13 is not only wrong, but it calls into mind everything that clock has said before. The governor's singling out of Orange County and saying our beaches are unsafe sounds like the clock striking 13. And it would be unfortunate if our residents were to say, wait a minute, the governor says sunlight and fresh air and being on the beaches may not be healthy. What else is being said that isn't right, that doesn't comport with common sense? The healthcare professionals we hear are telling us the beaches are safe. Practice physical distancing, wear masks, do the things we've been doing throughout the county and throughout the state, but let's not shut down this one avenue of opportunity to exercise, opportunity to maybe take a mental health break from all of the shut-in tensions that we've all been feeling for the last 6 weeks, where we have overwhelmingly complied with the governor's orders. I urge the governor to not single out Orange County. I urge him to listen to the locals and to the healthcare professionals and to realize that what we are doing here in Orange County is in fact working. That's not my statement. That's the statement our health director, Dr. Quick, gave to us at a board meeting. You see it. You see it in, for example, our hospitalization rates. The governor made a big point in his conference yesterday after I had the opportunity to explain our guidelines. Well, Orange County's got the 4th highest hospitalization rate. What he didn't say is that we have the 3rd highest population. So if you're looking at rates and you're looking at population, you know Dr. Quick is correct when she says what Orange County is doing is working. What we're doing right now is urging the governor to rethink his punitive measures against Orange County, based not on the best science, based not on what advisors are telling him or the locals are telling him, but based, as he admits, on a couple of photographs in the newspaper. I'll stick around for questions. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Supervisor Steele and Supervisor Wagner. My name is Frank Kim. I'm the County Executive Officer for the County of Orange. What I wanted to share with you is I certainly wanted to encourage all Orange County residents to visit our website, ochealthinfo.com. We've made additional improvements to that website over the last several weeks, and we now feature demographic information. One of the areas in terms of the data sets that we've been reporting that I'd like to focus your attention on has been what's been reported as the total number of tests that we're conducting in Orange County. Over the last 7 days, the County of Orange has averaged 1,531 tests for COVID-19. Compared to the week before, where we averaged 696 tests per day. So over the last 7 days, we have more than doubled the number of daily tests that are occurring, and that really is a true testament to the hard work from our healthcare agency staff, led by Dr. Quick and her public health team. And it's also a tremendous credit to our hospitals, our community clinics that have really stepped forward to embrace the challenge of ramping up testing, which is so important within Orange County, to understand how the disease is spreading throughout our community and to provide us good information in terms of addressing the consequences of those infections. So we're very pleased that we've been able to make this achievement as highlighted at Tuesday's board meeting. Our goal is to continue ramping up our testing at additional community clinics and additional sites and get to the point where we are testing our goal of 4,000 tests a day. That is our goal, and we are working toward it. And I'm pleased to report that we have more than doubled the number of daily tests over the last 7 days. And with that, I know that we have a number of questions from the media. We'd like to be respectful to their time. So with that, moderator, can we begin our questions from the media?
Definitely. If you wish to ask a question, you may do so by pressing 1, then 0 on your phone. Please give the offline specialist your name and your media outlet. We are asking that you please limit to 1 question. Once again, that is 1, then 0. And the first question comes from the line of Martin Swinko with Orange County Register. Please go ahead.
This is Martin Wisco at the Orange County Register. Good afternoon to you. My question has to do with nursing homes. It appears that the total cases and deaths could be leveling off, but the past week we've seen a spike in cases and deaths at nursing homes and other long-term facilities.
Thank you for that question.
How concerned are you about the spike, and do you plan any changes going forward to try to better get this under control?
Thank you for that question. I'll ask Dr. Quick, our public health officer, to address that.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Nicole Quick, County Health Officer, and absolutely we are concerned about our nursing home population. And you are right that we do believe some of our increase in cases as well as deaths are attributed to outbreaks that we are currently seeing in our skilled nursing facilities. As I have previously described, we have a priority in our communicable disease control division as far as response teams to any cases in skilled nursing facilities. We work with them prior to any potential outbreak by making sure that they have infection control plans in place and that they know that we will prioritize any testing of staff and residents at our public health lab. When we do detect a case in a skilled nursing facility, we always send out a team of investigators that are highly trained. They will determine on a case-by-case basis what the appropriate testing strategy is for that facility. Going forward, we are also working on securing more resources to increase the number of teams that we have to respond to any outbreaks in skilled nursing facilities, as we expect to continue to see these. So to answer your question, absolutely are we concerned about it, and absolutely this is a priority area going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Tony Saavedra with the Orange County Register. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. This question goes out to Sheriff Don Barnes. Sheriff, what are your plans for enforcing the governor's order on the county beaches?
Thank you, Tony. First, I haven't seen the order from the governor, so I'm not sure what the order contains within it. I've only seen his press conference and what I believe what he vocalized his intentions to be. My intent is, as it's been throughout this entire coronavirus, the COVID-19, is to seek voluntary compliance. We have been able to accomplish that, educate the public where necessary. First and foremost, Tony, my responsibility as a county sheriff is to protect lives and property, and also while preserving the constitutional rights of residents of Orange County. And in that, there's a balancing test. So to date, we have not had to take any enforcement action against any of the components of the governor's order. We've been able to get those to comply. I would reiterate one aspect of what I believe is critically important, is that the photographs I saw, quite honestly, were a stark contrast to what I believe the governor is acting on. They do not show the congregate setting that I think requires the necessity for the action that he's brought upon Orange County specifically. And I don't say that to be oppositional. Let's just take the politics out of this. We want to make sure that we are creating a safe environment, that we want to be able to give an outlet for residents of Orange County. The governor's own words said people should get out and recreate and go to the beaches, and I believe that the residents of Orange County have done that responsibly. So from an enforcement component, I have no desire to enforce any aspect of that through arrest. We have various other aspects that we are dealing with as we go forward, not only in the county but throughout the state, and that is dealing with some protest groups and others. So there's a lot of things on our plate at the same time. I think what's most important, and not only for me as a sheriff, but as a county, is this is a very stressful time for people. We have people that have been at home, self-containing in an at-home environment. There's tremendous stresses among the residents of Orange County about what's going to happen next. And I believe, and I think it's a reasonable expectation, that if that mental health component of stability is getting out in a safe way to recreate, whatever that might be, is a responsible approach. And I believe the residents of Orange County have been completely responsible within their actions. So the last thing I have any intention of doing is enforcing somebody going out in the public space for whatever that might be, to either recreate, shop, essential, whatever that might be, is to that's necessary for them and their well-being. My hope is as we move forward, we start relaxing some of these guidelines. I think we've been responsible and getting us back to normal as responsible as we can, and I believe the county has been doing that well. So specifically your question of do I intend to enforce the action, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what's contained in the order, but I'd have to see that first. But I can tell you that we will be, at least from the Sheriff's Department perspective, and I've been dealing with this with our municipal police agencies as well. It's a one approach. I can't speak for them, but is to not take enforcement action on this order. But again, I haven't seen it yet.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Margaret Carrero with KNX. Please go ahead.
Yes, any one of the supervisors, if they want to speak. I mean, the governor said in his press conference just briefly that he was working with the county with regard to closing the beaches. Is that true? And if not, I mean, do you intend to fight this?
This is Supervisor Wagner, and let me clarify. We have heard from the governor, at least my office did, and I believe this is true of the county, approximately 15 minutes before the news conference, that the information we got last night that all police chiefs throughout the state were directed to enforce because all beaches would be closed. In fact, that had changed to Orange County. And so we would love the opportunity to work even more closely with the governor and urge him to reach out to us. It isn't that he has refused to work with us. It's more like we have not had that opportunity to have those conversations. We would like to hear from the governor's office, and we would like him to be working more closely with the locals here in Orange County. And I do want to clarify, when I said before about a news reporter sticking a phone in my face, I don't want to suggest that there was anything untoward or unfair about that. I was in the middle of a conversation. It was very clear that she was multitasking, both me and the governor. And so let me be clear, I am not calling out anybody in the media for their handling of this situation, nor do I call out the photographer with the Register in terms of what they've published. We are, though, asking the governor to base his decisions on close consultation with the locals and upon the best science, not just what one reporter does or what one newspaper produces. Overwhelmingly, the media has been responsible, and overwhelmingly, even more importantly, the citizens of Orange County have been responsible.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Spencer Custodio with the Voice of Orange County. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking our questions. This is for Sheriff Don Barnes. There's been some indications that, some non-essential businesses may be allowed to reopen soon, and that the sheriffs wouldn't, come in and, I guess, enforce some of these state orders limiting those businesses, basically closing down those businesses. And I just wanted to see what, going forward, what is the plan from the Sheriff's Department on this? And is there also like a code enforcement department at the county that's also kind of helping out with this?
So, Spencer, can you define what you mean by non-essential businesses?
Let's say bars or nightclubs or, just hair salons, nail salons, things like that. There's been a couple news reports of some of those types of businesses being open, especially the hair salons and nail salons.
Sure. So first, let me qualify what the health order is and directive from the state, as I understand, and I believe it's consistent. There are, I think, approximately 5 types of businesses that are directly prohibited from operating. Those are in-restaurant dining, bars, gyms, and those that are specifically called out. All the other businesses that are essential or non-essential refer to the CISA document, which is a federal document. It's on, I think, it's version 3.0 during COVID-19, and that document specifically calls out sectors of government and commerce that are necessary or could be considered non-essential. The key operative in that CISA document, though, I believe is paragraph 2 that says these are recommendations. These are not directives of the federal government. And it makes it very difficult for us, not just us, I say me specifically in the Sheriff's Department, but for law enforcement or government overall to determine which of those are essential, non-essential, when the language in and of itself is very ambiguous. So for the prohibited businesses in restaurant dining, gyms, bars, those are prohibited from operating, and we have been able to get voluntary compliance from those businesses if they chose or tried to operate, and some of them did. Over time, we were able to get them into compliance. For those other businesses that are in the gray area, it's very much more difficult to enforce something that's not specifically prohibited from operating. I'm not trying to give them a pass. I'm not saying that they should or should not, but it's not as simple as saying pick any one of those that aren't directly prohibited to say you can't operate, when you could very clearly fall into one of those CISA government sectors or part of the 12 sectors that are referenced, I think 16 sectors within the CISA document. So to answer your question, we have not had to enforce. For those who are specifically prohibited, we were able to get compliance, and we will strive always to do that first and foremost. And to date, we have not had to take any enforcement action, and that will always be my desired avenue in this approach, to work collaboratively with business to seek voluntary compliance in any way, and as a last effort would be to take any type of enforcement action. And to date, we have not had to do that.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Amy Paxton with AP. Please go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, thank you very much. Again, to follow up on one of the prior questions, I'd like to know what conversations, if any, have been had between the county or the supervisors since this weekend over the beach issue, and what, if any, measures they ask you to take.
Can you clarify your question, please? Because we didn't take any specific action at the board meeting. And with Brown Act, the board members on their own can't direct county operations. So we've taken no recent action related to beaches.
No, I was asking whether the state had asked the county to make any changes regarding beaches since this weekend.
No. In fact, I followed up with my team earlier today, and neither the Emergency Operations Center staff, nor my park staff, nor board offices or the county executive office have been in direct contact with the state.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Tony Cabrera with ABC7. Please go ahead.
My question is about the guidelines that were announced and voted on earlier this week. Have they been sent to Sacramento yet for reopening? Have you heard anything back? Has there been some type of response? And then does the current tension with the governor and what he's doing directly to Orange County with the beaches, does that make it difficult to get, do you think that makes it difficult to get the green light to move forward into stage 2?
Well, so number one, the board asked that, or directed that the county executive office share that document with Sacramento, and we have. I don't think that there's anything inconsistent in terms of what the guidelines say compared to the discussions that that we've heard with respect to opening business within the state of California. The guidelines make very clear that the more restrictive state or federal orders are to be complied with, and the guidelines items 2 through 7 clearly indicate best practices in terms of personal protective equipment, following social distancing protocols, etc. So they're very consistent with what we've heard both from the CDC, California Department of Public Health, and they're consistent with best practices within public health.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Alicia Robinson with the Orange County Register. I apologize. Go ahead.
Does the county have a legal opinion on whether the state has the authority to close non-state-run beaches, specifically in one county?
Generally, we don't comment on questions of legal authority. I have had conversations with our county council, but I'm not really at liberty to share the results of that.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Paul Anderson with City News Service. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. There's been a lot of references to the 2 photographs, I think, that were in the register, but I think there was also video from the TV stations, I think. I was told, or one one official, I think in Huntington Beach, said that they thought some of the footage was from last year. But there was other footage there too, and I wondered if any of you saw that, or if you felt that that indicated some problems with social distancing as well.
I have not seen that personally. I do know that over the weekend, I personally did drive the beaches to examine the operating conditions and how the residents were utilizing our beach facilities. And what I saw by and large was Orange County residents enjoying the outdoors and doing so responsibly. I believe there's some comments here from Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Frank. And Paul, let me be as clear as I possibly can. We are not saying that there was 100% compliance on the beaches. We've not had 100% compliance, I am sure, on any of the orders that have been put out. What we have seen, however, is overwhelming compliance. And so the fact that there might be in photos or in videos evidence of some violations of the order doesn't mean that that is the overwhelming state of the situation. And more importantly, those few violations don't mean that we need to shut down everything on the beaches, because the good that is done by opening the beaches and expecting overwhelming compliance is better than a couple of scofflaws, perhaps, who aren't, in fact, practicing social distancing. We don't want to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, to use an overused cliche, but one that I think very much applies here. Thank you, Paul.
Our next question comes from the line of Norberto Santana with the Voice of Orange County. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you again for the opportunity to ask questions and for taking them. Maybe this question is for Supervisor Wagner. Just a couple of questions. One is, do you plan on asking in some sort of special meeting to study your legal options on what the governor has just done? Secondarily, I'm curious, you talked a lot about the importance of getting fresh air and getting outside. I'm curious, as far as I know, the county parks, the wilderness parks, the other parks are all currently closed. Do you all see yourselves opening those parks if you're challenging the governor's closing of beaches? Do you see yourselves opening up your own county parks for recreation? And lastly, maybe this is a question for Frank Kim, do you have any special things that you're doing to maybe, I don't want to use the word police, but to take a look at county trails and others with rangers or other types of officials that may be able to offer people direction or offer some semblance of, I don't want to say enforcement, but some semblance of education, to use Don Barnes's word, of seeking compliance through engagement rather than enforcement. So I just leave it at those three questions. Thank you again.
What was your first question again?
Will you be studying
legal action?
Options?
The answer to that is it'll end up being a board decision whether we engage counsel or not. It is my understanding that the county is an arm of the state, and as a matter of law, we would not be able to, in essence, sue ourselves. So I don't foresee legal action, but ultimately we're going to be guided by counsel and their recommendation as to what are or are not our rights. Right now, please don't hear me saying that we want to sue the governor. We want to work with the governor, and we want to urge the governor to base decisions on what is to be opened, what is to be closed, and what rules are to be in place according to the best science. With respect to the closing of the parks, our parks director is here and she's shaking her head. And it's my understanding as well, our parks are not closed. Our trails are not closed. We are urging that folks who use them practice the social disciplines and be responsible. But right now, the parks are not closed and we don't anticipate it. We have closed some of the parking lots in the parks and around the beaches. That is an effort to help manage the very crowds that we're talking about. And so far, we think those efforts have been successful. Your third question was for Frank Kim. I'll let him answer that one.
Norberto, can you repeat your third question, please?
You do have county facilities like trails that are open. Do you guys see what are you doing to, in a sense, Again, I don't want to use the word control, but what are you doing to educate people as to what they might be considering? I'm just taking into account that you may have a lot of county trails that are being utilized, and as the Supervisor Wagner just mentioned, if people are not able to park in accessible areas, they're probably parking in neighborhoods, in other areas, accessing trails through different ways. So I'm just curious, how do you guys deal with that?
Well, I think every park that we have is a different situation. So I know that over time we've spent quite a bit of effort to provide information in terms of access on our website. We've done quite a bit of signage, and we have had some instances where in some of our wilderness parks that we've had individuals parking on the street and in areas that we believe were unsafe or were in violation of local code or ordinances, et cetera. And we have put additional signage up and restricted parking, et cetera, and we've gotten compliance from the residents in all of those areas. Within the beach areas, we have closed our parking lots to beaches, similar to what the state of California has done, and similar to what we've seen from our local cities who manage their local beaches. So generally what I see is consistency in terms of how we're managing our beach parking and beach access. It's been very consistent from the state, the cities, and the counties. And please remember that county beaches comprise approximately 17% of the coastline in Orange County. The majority of that beach acreage belongs to cities, and they're locally controlled by those cities, as well as to the state of California. And with that, I know we're coming up on time. Let's do just one more question, and then we'll end after that. Moderator?
All right, our last question comes from Hedy Chang with NBC Channel 4. Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I apologize I didn't fully hear the full response to the previous question, but as just a point of clarification, are the beaches in Orange County closed right now, or are you waiting for the order to actually come down? And if so, what are the next steps as far as either implementing the closure or enforcing it? Sheriff Barnes, you had mentioned, obviously relying on voluntary compliance, but will there be anything done to enforce the closures? And thanks again.
Thank you. So, number one, our beaches are open. Cities have made their own determinations, and my understanding is the vast majority of city beaches are open. I don't know what the state is planning to do with their own managed beaches, but I suspect that we'll hear that today and coming on tomorrow. As Sheriff Barnes had mentioned earlier, we have not seen the actual written order from the governor in terms of his enforcement actions and control over beaches within the county jurisdiction. So we'll have to wait in terms of being able to review those and then responding to them. But in terms of the county's position, if the governor closes the beaches, we absolutely will have our staff and our park rangers at our beaches, and we will manage in accordance with the order that we're given. We hope that the governor would be flexible, allow us to roll out with a local plan that would address the concerns that he may have. But again, until we see what those restrictions are, what his orders are, it's difficult for us to build a plan that accommodates them. But please understand, from the County of Orange, our desire is to make our parks, our beaches, and our wilderness locations available to the community, and we believe that having access to outdoor recreation is a wonderful thing for residents who really have been doing a fantastic job of meeting the stay-at-home orders. And as they have time with their families and with social distancing and following all of the safety protocols, we really do want to keep these amenities open to our public, because our residents live in Orange County because of these wonderful amenities. It makes Orange County what it is, and we want to operate these facilities as safely as possible. So with that, thank you so much for your time and your questions today.